Welcome to Evanor. Wayfinder is a new MMORPG developed by Airship Syndicate, whose works include League of Legends Ruined Kings, Battle Chasers, and Darksiders Genesis, and was published by Digital Extremes, who's worked on Warframe and Bioshock. And even though I haven't personally played any of these games, these are by no means small feats. So it seems like all the great minds are here working on Wayfinder. And with the most recent downward trends of both Destiny 2 and Diablo 4, the looter genre can be taken over by the right game. As of this video, it is in early access, so technically anything can change going into the official release, which will be free to play. This will be a different type of video than I usually would do, since I won't be focusing on issues and lack of certain features, but rather on the potential of this live service game down the road. And since we're on this topic, the server issues. Oh. No, we're back in queue! No! I'm confident it will be solved within next week, so I will barely mention this in the rest of this video. I have roughly 15 hours of actual gameplay when I made this video, so the question I will be answering is, what are my first impressions and the future potential of Wayfinder? The story pretty much summarizes into gloom this, gloom that, destroy gloom, go. Honestly just got bored and skipped through like every single piece of dialogue. It was just boring. The VAs actually did a wonderful job in my opinion, but it was more of just how it was presented. It just wasn't appealing. And it's a very basic concept of go here because of gloom, kill that because of gloom, and don't die to gloom. So I hope you won't be playing it because of the story, because no one is reading it. Hopefully it gets better, but I honestly doubt it'll get any better unless they inject more personality into the characters and present it better. Or something. I have no idea. But whatever they're doing just isn't working. But honestly, it's not even a vital part for a game like this. People here to kill things, loot things, then ask why they did it afterwards. So the graphics remind me of a mixture of both Paladins and Fortnite, and the UI kind of reminds me of Realm Royale, which was also developed by the same people of Paladins, and I feel like it fits with the whole fantasy theme of it. It's very vibrant, very clean, and it's very nice. I'm sure it will be showcased even better when they introduce new zones or areas and whatnot. There are 6 Wayfinders you can play as of this moment. Wingrave, Silo, Nis, Senja, Kairos, and Venomous. You can start with either Silo, Nis, or Wingrave, and even though you can obtain all the characters without paying, it's an insane grind to do. I thought Venomous was going to be free, but after looking at the needed crafting materials, I realized I'm going to need to invest a lot of time into it. And for what I've played so far, they mention these Wayfinders' backstories, but they don't really go in depth. I could be completely wrong and missed it or skipped it on accident, because I was skipping through a lot of dialogue. But I don't see myself getting heavily invested in the characters like I do in other games, such as Star Rail. In Wayfinder, you have the option to use a rifle or any sort of melee weapon. I used a rifle, so I can't really say much about melee, but from what I've heard, it's fun bashing enemies. Each Wayfinder also have 4 abilities that you have to unlock, and that's the only 4 abilities that you can have for that particular Wayfinder. So if you don't like any of the current abilities, then you'll just have to wait for a new Wayfinder to be released. On top of that, you also have a weapon ability unique to that weapon, and any Wayfinder is able to wield any weapon without any restrictions. Crafting a good one may be troublesome, but you can buy a somewhat decent weapon from the weapon vendor. Having 5 abilities is plenty of tools at your disposal to achieve in killing whatever gloom thing that you need to kill. I actually had a fun time doing the lost zones, which were basically dungeons. To access a lost zone, you have to find the breach and the item associated with it, essentially a door and a key. After you do it once, you can always go back to it without needing a key and can challenge the dungeon again at a higher difficulty and with different modifiers, imbuements. The dungeon layout will have the same rooms, but the layout or order of these rooms will differ slightly from different runs. And the dungeons themselves are pretty cool, as there are enemies and small random encounters in them too, such as doing a very simple puzzle for a chest, doing little platforming, doing mini events, fighting loot goblins, or even maybe finding a secret room. Just by looking at the menu, there seems to be a lot of these lost zones, with 4 difficulties each with optional modifiers, making this part of the game very replayable in my opinion. And I think it's safe to assume that in future major updates, they'll be adding more of these lost zones with even higher difficulty and possibly with more modifiers. I think a lot of people will be satisfied and enjoy doing this part of the gameplay loop. I also really liked how the bosses were. I fought against like 4 different bosses now, and I will say that it's been progressively getting harder and more complicated, which is really good. I may have to get like a group of gamers soon, since my latest attempt at solo queuing with 2 randoms had us beating this particular boss on our 5th attempt on killing him. So I was really satisfied with the bosses, and I'm sure they will add more and better ones in the future. From the 10-20 hours I played, there were a good amount of things to do. My quest log was always filled with things to do, but did any of them majorly reward me in some way? Not always. There were even some that I just couldn't complete because it was something that I'll be able to do after 30 hours of grinding. Yes, I'm talking to you, crafting. Crafting weapons have been so annoying. There's so many components that I'm not even able to obtain unless I progress far enough into the main story to access the locations that hold these materials. I think. It's really hard to tell, but there's a lot of materials to grab, and they're rare just for a singular piece of weapon soul or whatever it's called, and you need like 3 of these to craft the actual thing. It's basically the same thing with trying to get a new character. You pretty much have to do a boss farm to get the materials, then farm in like a normal dungeon to get the materials that you need to get a new character. Or you can just drop $10 or whatever it costs to save you 30 hours of mindless grinding. Kind of like a Star Wars Battlefront 2 situation, if I ever saw one. I have some of the materials on one of my notes, so I'll just read it out. In order to unlock Venomous, I needed 3 vestige of Venguile, 3 vestige of Ven's Venom, 3 vestige of Ven's Duty, 15 Archaic Bone, 15 Gem of Avarice, 15 Trickster Coins, 30 Pristine Shadow Warp Spectra, and 175 Glimmering Viridian Spectra, and 21,600 Memory Fragments. Yeah, I'm like 15 hours into the game, and I can only find like 3 Gem of Avarice, it's a rare drop, along with a single Trickster Coin, rare event in a certain lost zone, and maybe like 4,000 memory fragments. That's it. I know how to get like glimmering spectras, and I can only assume how to get pristine spectra, but hopefully they'll make this part grinding like a lot less easier, because these numbers are insane and like the time investment into this is just absurd. And going back to the story aspect, I feel like this game is missing a villain, not the Gloom. The Gloom is like a thing or entity, but we need like a singular humanoid or alien villain. Games that I've played that are somewhat similar to this have villains in their own rights. Destiny 2 has the Witness, Genshin has Asmodee, and heck, remember Battleborn years ago? That had a villain, Rendane.
And so, back to that sound. That is the last choking gasp of a dying cosmos doomed to the dark. That is the sound of the end.
On a side note, Gearbox, please revive this game, I beg of you. I need to finish some of my masteries. But really, Wayfinder needs a villain, preferably when the game goes to free to play. And have that villain be in our minds the whole time, so it doesn't feel like the villain is just there to be a villain. I need this guy to have passion wanting to kill us and destroy the whole world with his gloom. I was overall satisfied with what the game offered at this current moment. It may be very grindy, but there are plenty of things to do. And just going off by the roadmap that they released, they have lots of things planned, such as the Awakening system, more live events, hard mode hunts, raids, job boards, more weapons, more quests, mounts, grappling hook, respec, more housing options, neighborhoods, more social features, pets, dyes, and even more wayfinders. It may be a very ambitious roadmap, but given enough times, I do believe they will hit most of these. Neighborhoods, maybe a bit too ambitious, but raids would be an excellent and achievable addition to this game. So yeah, going back to the original question, is there a good future potential for this game? I definitely think so. From those that are actually able to play this past weekend, it's nothing but praise for how fun and engaging the game is. Yeah, it's like being kicked after sitting in queue for 2 hours, but I don't think the devs expected this many people to be playing this game. I was in like the last 2 closed betas, and the servers never choked. I felt like Wayfinder would have been one of those games that would fly under the radar and maybe after a year will gain in popularity, but it seems like whatever the marketing team did, it worked a little too good. So if you haven't played Wayfinder and want to get into it, I probably wouldn't do it at this moment while the devs are still working on the servers. I would do a quick Google search if the servers are okay before spending $20 on it. This game is also going to be free to play in a few months, so you can also wait until then. However you plan on doing it, I do highly recommend playing this game because I do feel like this game might turn into something really cool in the near future. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I plan on doing more of these reviews for any game I decide to play, and I will most likely be streaming them. See you later.